Welcome to WEFM'S 3pm News. I am your presenter, Jessica Klein. First, on the local scene. The initiative for the dissemination of Colombian culture through the teaching of Spanish as a foreign language program has come to a close, with many public servants receiving certificates for completing the 3-month course. Hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, the closing ceremony took place at the National Public Library Conference Room in Richmond Hill, Kingstown. Emil Duggan, the Senior Foreign Service Officer, expressed his appreciation for those who participated in the program, thanking Spanish course instructor Flor Alba Rivera Manrique for her dedication and commitment. Duggan also praised the participants for their efforts in learning a foreign language, which will make them more desirable in the job market. The Spanish course instructor was also full of praise for her students, expressing her gratitude for their contribution to the success of the program. Since its inception in 2019, the initiative for the dissemination of Colombian culture through the teaching of Spanish as a foreign language program has seen an increase in demand, demonstrating the importance of language learning in today's globalized world. Minister of Tourism to St. Vincent and the Grenadines have announced that the coasts of the Caribbean region are currently experiencing a sea level increase that is 10% higher than the global average. This announcement was made during the Tourism Minister's Carlos James keynote address at the Climate Action Zone at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, 28th Conference of Parties in Dubai. According to a press release, the region's tourism infrastructure is at risk of being threatened due to the negative impacts of climate change, such as storm and hurricane damage. Minister James stressed the urgency of upscaling climate change action to confront the world's greatest threat. He cited the IPCC, stating that without immediate and deep emission reductions, limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius will be impossible. The Climate Action Zone initiative at the UNFCCC 28th Conference of Parties aimed to accelerate climate adaptation and resilience through capacity building, problem solving, and matching to ensure a sustainable future for islands. During the COP28 event, St. Vincent's tourism minister also shared that oil, coal, and natural gas subsidies currently cost the equivalent of 7.1% of global GDP. This amount is more than governments spend annually on education and about 2/3 of what they spend on healthcare. Still on the local scene, this week, heads of state and government are gathered in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for a critical meeting with Venezuela and Guyana. The two countries' leaders, His Excellency Nicolas Maduro and His Excellency Dr. Irfan Ali, respectively, discussed the ongoing Essequibo border controversy and the Argyle International Airport's diplomatic launch. Many regional leaders attended the meeting, including Dominica's Prime Minister and Chairman of CARICOM, Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Grenada, Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Philip Pierre, and Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Davis. St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, called the meeting as the country holds the pro tempore presidency of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, CELAC. The Caribbean leaders have reiterated their commitment to maintain peace in the region. On the regional scene, during the Salvation Army's Christmas hamper distribution ceremony at the organization's headquarters in Bridgetown, President Dame Sandra Mason urged Barbadians to consistently support those in need and not just during the holidays. While acknowledging the economic challenges many face, Dame Sandra emphasized the importance of being good neighbors and providing help throughout the year. She encouraged the public to emulate the service of the Salvation Army and be in service to their fellow man. Dame Sandra, who assisted in distributing 2,000 hampers during the event, expressed her gratitude to the Salvation Army and reminded recipients to be appreciative of the hampers. The 2,000 hampers were distributed at the Salvation Army's headquarters, with an additional 2,000 to be distributed at centers across the island. A 25-day Caribbean Sea Patrol operation carried out by the United States Coast Guard cutter Dauntless has resulted in the seizure of 670 kilograms of cocaine, said to be worth $19.4 million. The seizure occurred after Dauntless intercepted a go-fast boat with the narcotics on board, leading to the arrest of 3 suspects. Additionally, joint operations were carried out with the USS Farragut and its embarked law enforcement detachment. Dauntless, a 210-foot vessel, returned to its home port in Pensacola, Florida on Tuesday. Its primary missions are counter narcotics operations, migrant interdiction, living marine resources protection, and search and rescue. Finally, on the international scene, Italy's proposal to send tens of thousands of asylum seekers to Albania for processing has been temporarily blocked by the Albanian Supreme Court. The court has ordered a hearing next month to determine whether the agreement violates Albania's constitution. Meanwhile, opposition in both countries and human rights groups has criticized the agreement. The Italian government intends to construct 2 processing centers in northern Albania under the said agreement to handle 36,000 people annually who hope to reach Italy. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama signed the agreement last month. The agreement would allow for the detention of 3,000 people monthly in 2 processing centers near the northeastern port of Shenzhen, who attempted to reach Italy by sea while their asylum claims were being considered. The centers would operate under Italian law and would be paid for by the Italian government. Italian staff would oversee operations and, in certain cases, have immunity from Albanian law. Once asylum claims have been evaluated, Italy would be responsible for resettling them in Italy from the centers or deporting them. Albanian police would manage security outside these centers. This has been WEFM'S 3pm News. I have been your presenter, Jessica Klein. Join us again at 5:30 p.m. for WEFM's Evening News, and we thank you for listening.